Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. And our top story today, are older workers capable of working longer? Well, joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Gal Wetstein is Senior Research Economist at the Boston College Center for Retirement Research. Gal, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Let's talk about this paper because, the thesis here, I think, and I'll let you describe it in a second, is are older workers capable of working longer? What's the rationale behind the paper, the question that you're asking?
Well, we know about life expectancy. We know that it's been rising for the last few decades. We know, unfortunately, there was a big decline in last year from the pandemic. But we know less about how much people can work into their older ages. People can find that it's hard to work at some age because they might, for three reasons. First of all, they might not be alive, so that's the life expectancy part of it. And that certainly makes it difficult to provide support for their families. But they might also be institutionalized. We know that institutionalization rates are declining, but the population is aging. So overall, there's more and more people who need assistance with activities of daily living, kind of basic needs. And then apart from that, even people who live in the community can find it hard to work past a certain age because they have disabilities that don't rise to the level of getting disability insurance or entering a nursing home, but they are impediments to work. And so what we did in this paper is we looked at those three things, being alive, in the community, and able to work, and saw how much an expectation older people might expect to be able to work, as well as by different categories in the population.
Yeah, and just kind of drilling down on that further, I know life expectancy, it's a great thing we're living longer, but it seems to have muted over the last few years, and maybe some of that has to do with the pandemic, and maybe it's just poor health. Let's talk a little bit about healthcare, because you talk about maybe not having the ability to work because you might have something that doesn't qualify for a disability. We know that healthcare in retirement, outrageous, astronomical, with no sense for coming down anytime soon. What about the health abilities? Being able to, is this a sign of we need to take better care of ourselves, cognitively and physically?
Certainly wouldn't hurt to take better care of ourselves. I think the decline in life expectancy, or the kind of stalling of increased life expectancy for the last few years is like you said, I think partly the pandemic for the last year, but before that it had been stalling for a couple of years as well, and that's largely due to the drug epidemic, I think, that predates the pandemic. But our concern was even more with people who do live a long time but don't have the ability to work in a commensurate way to support longer retirement. So we're taking a slightly longer view than the last, say, 5 years. Our view is the last 20 years. And life expectancy certainly has increased, but working life expectancy, it's also increased, but not as fast. And whether that means people should take better care of themselves, of course, it doesn't hurt, like I said, but I'm not sure all of it can be laid at the feet of individuals. I don't think it's settled exactly in the research literature why healthcare, why health is so poor in these younger these are older people now, but younger relative to past cohorts. Certainly, life expectancy is not poor, and there have been improvements, but it's not clear what's driving the improvements and why it's slowing down.
And when you slice the data, Gal, and then we've got about 2 more minutes and I have to go to a commercial break. When we slice the data, or you slice the data, you and the team, are there specific groups of individuals, maybe either demographically or the types of careers, and I'm thinking, if I'm a police officer or, an iron worker, something that is maybe a little bit more physical, that's obviously tougher to do as you get older for the obvious reasons. But are there certain groups of the population that draw more concern or more attention than others?
Yeah, so we didn't look so much at occupation, mostly because of data limitations. We don't have good information on mortality by occupation. So when a doctor signs your death certificate, they usually don't write what you did as work. They do list your race and they do list your education, and that's what we did mostly focus on. And it's probably not surprising to anyone that Black individuals and low education individuals are the ones most at risk of not being able to work to even kind of generally accepted retirement ages, like the full retirement age in the Social Security program.
Yeah, well, Gal, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the impact of this study and what it means for retirement security, savings, and even Social Security. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM.
You need a financial plan that fits the way you want to live in retirement. A plan that can help grow and protect your money, now or in the future. With an annuity in your plan to help cover essential expenses, you'll have the freedom to live the retirement you want. This is what an annuity can do. Find the right financial professional to show you how. Learn more at protectedincome.org.
Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Gal Wetstein of the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. Gal, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to talk about this stuff. And we need to continue to have these types of conversations to make people aware, both individuals like you and I, but also policymakers, regulators, and the like who are setting important policy today and in the future. So let's talk about the impact of retirement security. Living longer has an impact. We've already talked about the health implications. That has an impact on retirement security. So let's start with just overall retirement security. Where do you see this impact being, the impact being?
Well, I think one of the main motivations for the paper was we know that the Social Security full retirement age was increased over the last few decades. It went up from 65 to 66, and that's a shift that's been completed, and now it's more or less completed, also going up to 67. And what that does is it makes the Social Security benefits, which are the bulk of income for retirees in America, it makes those benefits the same if you also retire later in conjunction with the rising full retirement age. But if you don't retire later, if you claim your benefits, say at 62, the early retirement age, it's been for many years, then your benefit is lower than it would have been if the full retirement age had not increased. And so what we wanted to know is, what's the scope for increasing the full retirement age? This is something that people talk about. As people live longer, rightfully, it's pointed out that they need to finance a longer retirement, and maybe they should work longer as well. And so we wanted to know, can people work longer kind of in lockstep with their increasing life expectancy? And find a kind of disappointing answer that not quite so much. And maybe high education people, white people more likely, can work longer. The vast majority of them we find could probably work until age 70, which is the maximum claiming age for Social Security. But for lots of groups, low education and Black in particular, working that long is probably not something they'll be able to do physically.
Gal, let me ask you about the Social Security Trust Fund. If everyone, obviously there's concern for obvious reasons around the trust fund, the viability, the solvency of Social Security and other programs. But if everyone's claiming the benefit, let's just say everyone claims the maximum benefit because they can somehow work longer to age 67 or 70, does that raise even more concern about what you're describing, which is Social Security and the importance it really it provides for people's retirement benefit?
I think I have two answers to that. One is claiming later doesn't hurt the Social Security Trust Fund's actuarial standing because the benefits are actuarially adjusted. So the reason you get a higher benefit when you claim at 70 versus 67 is because you're going to get the benefit for fewer years in expectation, because assuming the age at which you pass away doesn't depend on when you claim, you'll have less years of benefits. So that's the actuarial answer. The more substantive answer, I guess, is the more Social Security presents a really important factor in people's retirement income, the more we should worry as policymakers, as thinkers, about the status of the trust fund. Because currently, I think the actuaries, the Social Security trustees, project that the trust fund will be exhausted in 2034, I believe. That's the last number I remember. Might have changed after COVID, I'm not sure. And when that happens, they'll be able to pay about 70 to 80% of scheduled benefits. Now, if Social Security is a minor part of your retirement portfolio, then taking a 20% cut might not be the end of the world for you. But if it's everything you've got to live on, then that's a huge hit to these people, and a large number of people live on nothing but their Social Security in retirement. That's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah. Gal, you know, is this, let me ask you this question, I guess, just to tie off the interview. We've got a lot of people of my generation, and even maybe a little bit older, I'm a Gen Xer, but maybe a little bit older, who have saved in qualified retirement plans, if they have access to it. Does this risk that we're describing today, outliving the Social Security benefit, not having enough, does that potentially go down if more people have access to a retirement program, whether it's an IRA, whether it's a workplace savings plan, whether it's an auto IRA solution put forth by the states? Does that help address some of these concerns?
Absolutely. I think the more resources people have, the more robust their retirement portfolio will be to the various risks that they will face. So the trust fund depletion is a risk for people, certainly of my generation and your generation. And people need to prepare for that. And the more they have a buffer to support themselves, the better.
Yeah. Well, Gal, we're going to leave it there. Really appreciate you stopping by. Great research as always from you and the team at Boston College. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.